Thank you, Senator Unger. It is a pleasure to be in Buckhannon. The first time I ever spent the night in Buckhannon was 44 years ago when I went to a student council workshop, and I've always enjoyed the opportunity to visit this fine community. I've been working on redistricting plans for the last 30 years. I've testified in the federal court cases involved after the 1980 and 1990 censuses on congressional redistricting, and also tried to be of some support to Senator Unger when he challenged the state senatorial redistricting after the 2000 census. This is something I've always been interested in my own hometown of South Charleston. I fought for single-member wards. We had a big battle back in 1983. At that time we had 4 two-member wards and 2 one-member wards, and they were way out of whack with one person, one vote, even without respect to the question about whether you wanted to have 2-member wards. And I came up with a plan for dividing South Charleston into 8 single-member wards. The bipartisan council was overwhelmingly opposed to it because it threatened their incumbency. They wanted to keep things the way they were. Luckily, in South Charleston, we have initiative, referendum, and recall in our city charter. I drafted a petition. We had a petition drive. We put my plan on the ballot to change the city charter to provide for no more than 8 single-member wards. The people passed that, and effective that 1983 and effective 1987, we've operated under 8 single-member wards. In 1990, I came up with a plan with some help from the redistricting office to divide Kanawha County into 12 single-member districts. I'm a big supporter of single-member districts, and I'm in the process of trying to draw proposed lines for 100 single-member districts. I'm not a Republican. In fact, I'm a strong Democrat and member of the Kanawha County Democratic Executive Committee. But the fact is, the best way to have representation is one person, one vote. 40 states have only single-member districts for both their House and their Senate. I'm not trying to change what the Senate has as far as their, that would take a change in the state constitution. But let me focus just for a minute on state senatorial redistricting. I'm very sympathetic to the comments about Quarter H. My dad grew up in Davis. My parents are buried in Davis. My brother John lives in Canaan Valley. And I drive from South Charleston to Canaan Valley, and he drives from Canaan Valley to South Charleston. And we love it, how much things have changed since we were kids. And we had to take a 7-hour drive from South Charleston to Davis in a 56 Plymouth with 3 boys, 1 German Shepherd, and 2 parents. Long and winding roads. Those of you who are younger, you can read about it. We lived it. And I look forward to the day when Quarter H is completed. But the problem is, we're supposed to believe in one person, one vote. And if you look at the population figures, and I've come up with a proposal. In West Virginia, the optimal number of people per senatorial district is 109,000 to the nearest integer. It's actually 108,999 something, but to the nearest integer, it's 109,000. With the best way to do redistricting and comply with the state constitution, which says you're not supposed to cross county lines, but you can't do that if you comply with the federal constitution. And you're supposed to have compact districts as nearly as may be equal. So despite the fact that one of the speakers said you have a 5% variance, the constitutional oath is to try to get as close as possible. And so what I try to do is come up with a plan, forget worrying about incumbents having to run against each other. This is not their state. The state is that of the people of West Virginia. The incumbents are not supposed to draw districts just to get reelected. So I said, forget where the senators live now. How would we divide the state up if we were trying to comply with the state constitution? Minimize the number of times you had to split county lines and try to get as close as possible to 109,000. So if you start from the easternmost part, you put all of Jefferson and part of Berkeley, and right near the line where you draw between Berkeley is where Senator Unger lives. But then you put all of the rest of Berkeley and Morgan and Hampshire and Harding. And in each case, you're very close to nearly 109,000, except it's a little bit less there in that part of the state because of the fact that when you add those 5 counties together, you're a little bit shy of 218,000. Then if you move further to the west, you could put all of Hardy, all of Mineral, all of Grant, all of Pendleton, Pocahontas, Randolph, Tucker, and Barber. Then if you move west again, in each case we're very close to 109,000. If you put all of Gilmer, all of Lewis, all of Upshur, all of Braxton, all of Clay, all of Nicholas, and all of Webster. It's a very central district, right in the middle of the state of West Virginia. And so it's just a few hundred shy of 109,000. So I'm suggesting that if you follow the state constitution, which talks about compactness, equality of numbers, that would be the way you would draw the district. And I don't have a problem with the idea that maybe Upshur may have some community of interest, but if you're going to put Upshur in with Randolph and Tucker, then you've got to squeeze something else out of line, and it's going to look like it's going to get as contorted as it is now. And maybe not as contorted as it is now, because right now the part of Upshur County is in a state senatorial district that goes within a few miles of Senator Unger's house. Very long district. And the other part goes way down several counties, as you all probably know, all the way down to the Fayette-Raleigh County line. That, to me, is not a compact district. So I would suggest don't worry about whether incumbents will have to run against one another. Worry about trying to follow the state constitution. And as I said, I'm also working on single-member districts for the House of Delegates, and I've also proposed plans for the congressional districts, which are supposed to be as close as possible numerically without crossing county lines. And about 3 plans that I've submitted already to this committee are on the website of the State Senate Redistricting Committee, and the first version of my Senate Redistricting plan is also on that website. And I thank you for the opportunity to speak.
I'm Max Grove, born and raised in Berkeley County, John.
Yes, I know.
And I, unlike most of the Muslims in this nation, I was able to assimilate into Barber County and become part of that. Anyway, my question is, and I've gotten probably thousands of sheets of email on redistricting, and I have it all stored, and my machine tells me that it's full, and I should do away with some of it. But looking at all of this, I guess my question is the cost. I know what the state and the national constitution say about redistricting. We have to do this. And hearing Mr. Cooper back here talk about his plans, and I have to admit I've sat down with some little coloring books and things like that, some crayons, and done some of my own. It's not very accurate. But we hear a lot about, are we as smart as the average 5th grader? My question would be, to save some money, why don't we take this information to the best 5th grade class in our state? They would come up with an answer within a month. Without all of this. How many meetings have you had, John?
This is our 11th meeting.
11th meeting. Right. So that's my question. The cost is one thing, and then have we considered getting the politicians and everybody out of this and giving it to someone like the average 5th grader?
Okay, well, thank you. Just to kind of give some information back on that. We are obligated as a legislature to do it. So we don't have a special body or board that we could just pass it off to. We have to do this. In regards to the cost of these meetings, other than the county commission spending some money for our refreshments out here, there's very little cost except for reimbursement of transportation to and from this meeting. None of us are getting paid additional to be here on Saturday.